In level 1, we will be reviewing properties of exponents and inverse properties of log and exponential equations. In this first example, feel free to try A and B on your own. This is review of exponent properties. I will go through it too. What you want to do is anything with a negative exponent needs to move. So b to the negative 3 is going to move down and become b to the positive 3. A to the negative 2 is going to move up and become a to the positive 2, and b to the negative 7 is going to move up and become b to the 7. Also, anything to the 0 power equals 1. And I don't need to write times 1, so I can basically think of this as just going away. So I leave a to the 5th on the top. A to the negative 2 moves up and becomes a to the 2nd on the top. B to the negative 3 moves down and becomes b to the 3rd on the bottom. B to the negative 7 moves up and becomes b to the 7th on the top. Then on the top, a to the 5th times a squared, add the exponents, you get a to the 7th. And then b to the 7th over b to the 3rd, you're going to subtract the exponents, and you get b to the 4th, which remains on the top. And we have nothing left in the bottom, so we can erase this fraction line. And that's our final answer. In the next example, one trick that I like is when I have a negative exponent on the outside, like my negative 2, I can move the whole expression down and change that exponent on the outside to a positive 2. I'm not going to change anything inside, so 4x to the negative 2y to the 3rd all stays the same, but my negative 2 becomes a positive 2 on the outside. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this bottom. I'm going to move the whole thing up and change my little negative 3 on the outside to a positive 3. So we get 2x to the 3rd, y to the negative 2 raised to the positive 3. Now I'm going to raise everything inside on the top to the 3rd power. So 2 to the 3rd is 8. I multiply the powers when I raise a power to another power, and we get x to the 9th, y to the negative 6th. On the bottom, everything is raised to the 2nd power. 4 squared is 16. We get x to the negative 4, y to the 6th. And then everything with a negative exponent needs to move. And we can also reduce 8 over 16. That reduces to 1/2, which leaves me with a 2 in the bottom. X to the 9th is already on the top. When I move x to the 4th up to the top, or x to the negative 4th, it becomes x to the 4th, and I end up with x to the 13th on the top. And then for the y's, I have y to the 6th on the bottom, but the y to the negative 6 on the top is going to move down, and I'll have a total of 12 y's on the bottom. So we get y to the 12th on the bottom. And that's my final answer. The other part of level 1 is a review of inverse functions. We talked about this in our last skill. The inverse of an exponential function is a log function. The inverse of e to the x is the natural log of x. Remember, we said that this would be ln of x. That's the same as log base e of x, but we don't write log base e, we write ln. It's a lowercase l, lowercase n, which stands for natural log of x. The next one, the inverse of log of x, remember this means log base 10 of x, but if the 10 is not written in, it's just assumed. The inverse of this function is going to be the exponential function 10 to the x. The inverse of h of x is going to be a log function, and it's going to be log base 5 of x. So whatever the base is in the exponential form will be the base of the log in the inverse. And in my last example, the inverse of log base 2 of x is going to be to the exponential equation 2 to the x.